Okay, Shalom Matkim, Kahalayim La Yahaba Shem Yahshaba Shem Hakudash, and double honors to the great and apostles. Thadia Shah for the strength and order to make this video. And the Aratazar you find it edifying and exhorting. Edifying meaning to build up, exhorting meaning to encourage as well. But as I named the video, it all makes sense with the truth. Something along those lines. It all makes sense with the truth, man. When you start to, observe, what Israelites are going through, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians as well. Of course, all these afflictions and sufferings that you're going through, you then start to for one who doesn't have the understanding of the scriptures, you wouldn't be able to understand or comprehend, okay, this is why we're going through it. But for when we were in the world, in ignorance, that's when it was harder to actually see why we deserve to actually go through all these sufferings, or why the Most High puts us up for affliction, multiple sufferings to hold our cross. That's the thing. But it's all, again, as I always repeat, certain videos you hear me say, but it's because of the fact that we disobeyed Yahweh Shem Yahushua, hence why we're in this position right now. Hence why Jake is in a position right now in suffering. Which then again, if you actually observe what's going on right now, really the curses are being flipped on Esau, Edom right now. They're the ones who are having to go through the sufferings and afflictions, and essentially Deuteronomy 28 gradually is going to come upon Esau, Edom, man. And of course, the pinnacle of that will be on in our kingdom, the kingdom of Yahushua as well. Because the kingdom of Yahushua is also known as the kingdom of Israel. So that's the thing, as I named the video, it all makes sense with the truth. And when I say the truth, I'm referring to the true understanding of the scriptures, man, which of course our apostles, our elder brothers have then taught us, man. The true understanding of these scriptures of which we read, aka the Bible. Because you can read it, but as I said, I believe it's in Acts 8. When Philip said to the Ethiopian eunuch, or the Ethiopian eunuch said to Philip, I'll probably get it as well, but he said, "How can I understand except a man teach me?" So of course we have to be taught the real perspective. You gotta have the real lens, the scriptures, man. If you ain't got the correct lens, let's say, for prescriptive glasses, if you ain't got the correct lens, you're not going to be able to see sharp enough, whether it be you're close-sighted or, far-sighted, you gotta have the right prescription to for your own eyes, really, so that you're able to comprehend it. And the reason why I say comprehend, because I'm relating it to the scriptures, you gotta have the lens really represents the right understanding to be able to gain the knowledge from the scriptures, man, for us to apply. Alright, I said the Ethiopian eunuch should be in Acts 8. Acts 8, probably somewhere around there. But let me get Ethiopian, because when you understand something, just hold on. When you understand something, I'm just looking for the precept. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Except a man teach me. Before I lose my previous point. When you... Hold on. Why is it not coming up? Let me just search for it quickly. Let's see. Except a man teach me. Alright. Just bear with me, okay? This is Acts chapter 8. And starting from... Just for some context. I'll start from verse 27. Actually, from verse 26. So this is Acts 8 and verse 26. And the angel of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshua, spake unto Philip, saying, Arise and go toward the south, unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert. And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, an eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship. So, of course, the Ethiopian eunuch there, because really, I think doing research on it, in order to guard the queen, you need to be a eunuch as well, which is where, if I recall correctly, well, there's levels to it. Of course, a literal eunuch is one who's really castrated. They ain't got no how can I say it? Well, to say it raw, they ain't got no balls. That's the thing, So, they're really castrated. But in fact, let me even get the definition here as well. But there's the literal one, but of course, there's also the let me just get the definition. So hold on. Define eunuch. Define eunuch. Yeah, literally what I said. So the Google definition of eunuch, it says, a man who has been castrated, especially in the past, one employed to guard the women's living areas in an Asian court. It also says they're an ineffectual person. So pretty much a person who's castrated, that's what it is. Which means they can't really deal with any woman anyways. So that's what a eunuch is. But yeah, man, that's in the literal sense as well. So, but yeah, also in a more, I was gonna say metaphorical sense as well, because of course it's not as if you could do that in the modern times, anyways. But it's a eunuch, you could liken it as one who, doesn't really deal with women. That's like them Shaolin priests or something. The ones who just remain celibate their whole life. So you could liken them as eunuchs as well. So that's one perspective. There's a literal one, which is when they're castrated, to protect the queen. Well, I say protect the queen, but yeah, protect the queen or the higher up. I'll read it again. This is Google definition. A man has been castrated, especially in the past. One employed to guard the women's living areas in an Asian court, of course, so that they don't just go and start yamming up all the women there. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. So that was the Ethiopian eunuch. It says, an eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship, was returning and sitting. So this is verse 28 now, Acts 8 and verse 28. Was returning and sitting in his chariot, read Isaiah, which is Isaiah the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, Go near and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, Understandest thou what thou readest? Which means, do you understand what you've read? So that was a question, because if you don't understand what you've read, what's the point of then reading it? That's the thing. You gotta understand it so that you're able to apply it, whatever scenario that the Most High puts you in, and just apply it to your lives, really. Now it says verse 31. Remember, everything written aforetime is written for our learning. So us understanding it helps us immensely. So Acts 8 and 31, which I believe is a key part here. And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. The same way, we wouldn't understand these scriptures unless, we had our apostles, and our elders teach us, man, of the true understanding of these scriptures. So that's the reason why I brought that out. Anyways, going back to the video. Again, the title. It all makes sense. It all makes sense with the truth, and it's true. It all makes sense when it comes to what you observe of what Jake goes through, why the 2/3 act the way they act, why wicked Israelites are doing their wickedness as well. Really, the Most High is making them more ripe before the harvest, man. Which really the harvest is going to be when the reapers come by, and then the 2/3 are going to get their wipe out. Really, pride cometh before the fall, so it's that let the food ripen, man. Let the food ripen. When you got some ripe food, especially when it's plantain as well, or as Benjamin calls it, planting, whichever one suits you. Judah over here in Nigeria, we call it plantain. But either way, you get the point. With planting, you if you leave it ripe, which is when the food actually turns more darker. It's actually way more sweeter when you prepare it. Try cooking that. When it's ripe, it's very, very sweet. That's why I like to let it be ripe and eat it, man. When it's not as ripe, it's like okay, it tastes good, but not that good. It tastes good, but nevertheless, that's just an example. You gotta let them fit in 2/3, ripen up, so that when it's time to destroy them, it's gonna be a sweet destruction, man. That's a way of perceiving it. So Romans 10 and verse 13, it says, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, shall be saved. The name of the Lord, the name of the Most High, the world in ignorance calls him God, but his real name is Yahweh, which means he is, he exists, or he is to be. So that's what his name means, man. And of course Yahweh is his name. And when you go to certain scriptures where it says LORD in the capitals, if you go to the Blue Letter Bible, and then you go to the root word for the Strong's H concordance, it will say, especially in the Old Testament, Strong's H concordance, it will say Jehovah, but that's not his name. And by the way, Jehovah, that's where they then got the name Jehovah as well. But in his Jehovah, it's not the name. When you look at the Hebrew letters from the Tetragrammaton, YHWH, those are it's like a shortened initials for what the real name is. Because the real name is based on the ancient Hebrew, not the modern Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew, which 21 of those letters end in the sound R. But one of those letters ends in the sound I. Abba, Gada, Hawa, Zahata, Yalamana, Kwa, Ra, Sa, I, Kwa, Taza. Of course, I'm not saying it in order here, but the point is most of the letters are there. 21 letters end in the sound R. One of the letters end in the sound I. That's the point. So with those letters, YHWH, that's Ya, and then Ha, and then Wa, and then Ha again. Those are the 4 letters. But the reason why we don't say Yahweh Ha is because really in the ancient Hebrew, there's a connector between the last letter and really the 3rd letter and the 4th letter, which is that last H, YHWH, that last H, there's a connector. That connector removes the last sound of the Ha. So hence the name Yahweh. That's the point. So of course Yahweh, that's the name of the Most High, and of course in the ancient Hebrew alphabet, the name of our Savior, our Deliverer, is Yahushua, which is literally his purpose as well. Because typically we hold names which also pertain to our purpose. That's hence why they say, be careful what you name your child, or else he'll be fulfilling that. Just like the guy in the Baal, man. David was trying to get help from the Baal. You had all these riches there as well to help his men whilst he was on the run. But then Nabal was acting foolish, man. His name literally meant foolish. His wife literally called him foolish. But anyways, that's just the point there where be careful what you name your child, man. Or else they're going to reap the consequence of that name. That's why you got to pray for wisdom, man. You got to pray for wisdom. But in the kingdom, it's gonna be strength upon strength. Jake gonna be on a pinnacle, man. So there ain't gonna be no foolishness amongst Jake. We'll be in perfected bodies. So, anyways, let me read this again. Yeah, oh yeah. As I was saying, actually, let me read this, then I'll say it again. So Romans 10 and verse 13. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua shall be saved. Simple. I say simple, but really, as the scripture say again, precepts upon precept to really reinforce the understanding. You got to endure to the end. He who endureth to the end shall be saved as well. So it's not just the name, because remember, in the scriptures also said about whoever says Lord, Lord, is not everyone's gonna. Let me get it. Just hold on. But yeah, Yahushua meaning Yah meaning he, and then Yahushua meaning deliverer as well. You have all these down variations, the vain and worthless variations. You got Yehoshua, you got Yahusha, you got the flipping Yeshua, the more common one in the world. People think that they're in the know because it's like, oh, his name is Yeshua. No, that doesn't correlate with the ancient Hebrew alphabet though. There's no Ye sound in the ancient Hebrew alphabet. There's only a Yah sound. Yeah, that's like the 10th letter. Yah is like the 10th. It's the 10th letter. So there's only a Yah sound, not a Ye, man. And then that Shua, that there's no Shu sound. There's a Shah sound, but there's no Shu sound. So really, Yahushua fits well into the ancient Hebrew, anyways, man. Which is what the name is based on. It's the tongue that they spoke back in the day, also. All right, so let me get this precept. Just hold on up, Kim. I'm just trying to look for that precept. Whoever says unto me, Lord, Lord. Alright, let me type out this way then. Lord, Lord. Alright, so this is Matthew 7 and verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doth the will of my Father which is in heaven. You see, so it's not just knowing the names, so that's why precept upon precept is essential here. It says, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord. So they're going to call the names Yahweh, Wa Yahushua, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, Yahweh Yahushua. Wa just means and, in case you hear that. It's that saying, Yahweh, Wa Yahushua, Yahweh and Yahushua. So verse 22, Matthew 7 to 22, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord. So Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? Verse 23, then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So that's the point right there. That's why, Romans 10 and verse 13, where it says, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord, shall be saved. So, of course, it's not just calling. It's not just, using the names Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, but it's also, of course, sincerely believing, which the proof of the belief is also via your actions as well. So that's why it says in Matthew 7 and verse 21, it says, but he that doth the will of my Father, which is in heaven. That's the point. So, of course, pleasing Yahweh Hashem Yahushua by, of course, executing the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All right, so this is Romans 10 and verse 17. It says, so then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Most High. So it says, but I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily, their sound went into all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the world. I read that's how the prophets are as well. You know, these scriptures, these videos of which we were making, you upload them on the internet, anyone can see them. That's the thing. So that's how the gospels then spread, man. You know, we do the camp videos as well. We live stream those. You know, that's put in the internet. Everyone sees that. That's the point. All up came around the world will see it. You know, so that's I read Jake in the world will see it as well. You know, sometimes the most I would just put it out there for a Jake out there to just see the scriptures, just to see them, whether he be part of their elect, or whether he be a 2/3 or just a wicked Israelite across the world. You know, just sealing their fate from there. Alright, so I think the key part was really verse 17. So Romans 10 and 17. So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing the word of the Most High. See, hearing the true understanding of these scriptures, which is via our apostles of Great Millstone, man. You know, of whom taught us this word, the true understanding of this word. Alright, let me get this precept. Let's see. You know, we were as dry bones. You know, I ain't gonna get too deep in it. I'm just gonna get two verses from that Ezekiel 37 chapter, because that's a whole breakdown in itself. So I'm gonna get this. Okay, let's see. This is Ezekiel 37 and verse. Just hold on. Start from verse 4. Ezekiel 37 and verse 4. Again, he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord Yahweh. So really you could see the bones are really, the dry bones, the bones are representative of Israelites being in a dead state of mind, which really, anyone who ain't got Yahweh Shem Yahshua can be considered as dead state. That's the point, which is really majority. I say majority, really all Israelites in the world. That's the correction. Now verse 5, Ezekiel 37 and verse 5, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, the Most High, unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. So that breath is really talked about the true understanding of the scriptures, alongside with Harchak Wadash, you know, which of course that helps you to be in sync and actually be in sync with the scriptures, and of course understand these scriptures as well, you know, to understand the Bible. So that's the point right there, man. You know, as we heard the words, as we were previously dry bones, you know, the Most High put the breath within us to understand the scriptures. Harchak Wadash was then imbued within our spirits to be able to then, acquire the knowledge from the apostles, you know, from the elders, the elder bishops, the elders of Great Millstone. Then from there, we apply it to ourselves as well, you know, when it comes to gaining the wisdom, knowledge of these scriptures. You know, so that's there. Let me get a few more precepts and I'll close it out as well. Right, just hold on. Let me get this one too. But you know, the more understanding you have, the less things tend to provoke you, because you understand it holistically. Holistically meaning as a whole. You know, it's like, you know, from just as a whole, you know, you don't just understand one part, which really Jake's got a finite view. It's like they got a flipping, you know, horses that have those they call them blinds, you know, so they can just focus ahead. You know, that's what Jake is on, man. They just focus on the world. They don't understand that, you know, certain things that they're going through is really because of their actions, you know, in their past lives, especially individually, but as a collective, you know, as a whole, as an Israelite, as a nation, is because of our disobedience to Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Deuteronomy 28 being a perfect illustration of what Jacob was going through and is still going through, by the way. Of course, it's lowering down because it's being flipped on the Edomites and these other heathen nations. But the pinnacle of that, as the saying goes, how the tables turn, or as some may say, how the turntables or something like that, which is pretty much just twisting the saying to say that, all right, you know, things are going to be different around it. Jake going to rule, Esau's going to be in the bottom. That's why the tables are going to turn. All right, let me get this precept. Just hold on. Hold on. This is John 15. Because of course, you got to remember, it's through Yahushua. That's how I get the mercy and patience and the strength from Yahweh, man, within our spirits. So this is John 15 and verse 1. It says, I am the true vine, my Father, which is Yahweh. So Yahushua is the true vine, and the Father, which is Yahweh, our Father. It says, my Father is the husbandman. It says, which really, the husbandman is one who also tills the land, tills the garden as well. And there's a scripture that talks about husbandry. Don't hate hard labors or husbandry, neither husbandry. Your husbandry goes into gardening. I say gardening, but farming. Things related to that. Section agriculture, tilling the land. So anyways, let me start again. John 15 and 1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it. So of course he refines it. Let me finish that. It says he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. So he refines it so that it becomes better and better and better. So that when you get that right plantain, that's when it tastes good, man. It tastes good. But yeah, so that's the point, man. So he purgeth it. So the point is really, it's through Yahushua. That's, in fact, let me keep reading. It says, let's hold on. Yeah, let me keep reading. So John 15 and 3. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you, through Yahushua. It's giving us the spirit, Harakah, us to comprehend these scriptures. Abide in me and in you as the branch. Hold on. Oh yeah, come on. John 15 and 4. Abide in me and in you as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, you see, except it abide in the vine. So it says, no more can ye except ye abide in me. That's why we need Yahushua as our mediator, man. He's the mediator between Israel and of course the Most High, man. Yahweh, so that we can gain the mercies of Yahweh, the grace of Yahweh. So that's the point. We wouldn't be able to do this on our own, man. We'll be finished. That's the thing. That's why, brothers are always persevering and being diligent, because of this fact that Yahweh has put the spirit upon them to do so. That's the thing. That's why we always have to be grateful and say, Thou de Yahweh, Thou de Yahushua, for the small things and the big things as well. Waking up, being able to eat, being able to walk, being able to see, small things and the big things, man. And being able to still continue in these works first and foremost. Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushua, day by day we say that. Because, of course, we're grateful for what Yahushua has given us. And of course, we're going to further appreciate it more when we're going to go through that crowning ceremony, Yaharatazar, that we all endure to the end. Alright, let me get this final preset. I'm going to close that up. Alright, let's see. That's why certain things, man, where people of the world, they fear death. But, of course, it's one thing saying it, and then, when you're actually going through the scenario, you pray for the same strength. We pray for the same strength so that, we really don't shake in those times. We'll go full in faith, man. It's like, yep, if you're going to kill the body, you better make it quick. Because if you don't make it quick, both sides can easily turn up my spirit and start wrecking up the place with spiritual power, which will happen. There's scriptures on that. Yaharatazar, I might even do, a video on spiritual power event, soon enough, Yaharatazar. But eventually I'm gonna get to it. There's certain other videos that I gotta put out first. But yeah, man, I haven't done a spiritual power video in some time. I mean, yeah, we mentioned it. We mentioned it, I can mention it. I mention it here and there. But, just a video just based on spiritual power, I don't think I've done that in some time. But nevertheless, the narratives are in time. Just trying to remember the precept thing. I'm going now. Father Yao Shai. Just hold on. Alright, so this is 1 Thessalonians 4 and I'll read verse 12, so 12 and 13. But the key part is verse 13. Now, 1 Thessalonians 4 and 12, that ye may walk honestly towards them that are without, and that ye may have lack of nothing. So really, when people of the world talk about this void that they feel that they're missing, especially Jake as well, what they're missing is really their power source. Their power source being Yahweh Shem Yahshua. For those of us who have awakened into this truth, have become lively stones. We're alive. We're not dry bones no more. We're lively stones. That's through the names Yahweh Yahushua. That's through the power and the spirit that's been imbued within us through Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And it says again, it says that ye may walk honestly towards them that are without. And really those that are truly without are those 2/3 Israelites, the wicked Israelites, man. And the answers are, when we come sincerely, eventually we're going to go to the elect members. And of course, they're going to be awakened. That's the thing. So, that's really the hope as well that we have, to awaken the elect, the remnant, as it says in Isaiah 10 and verse 20 to 21. And it says, and that ye may have lack of nothing. 1 Thessalonians 4 and 13, but I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren meaning brothers, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not as others which have no hope. So really, just because a person dies, it doesn't mean that we should all be in this mournful state for too long, or get depressed because this person died, as they show in the movies. Because we know at the end of the day, the spirits are with Yahweh Shem Yahushua. It's in the spirit realm, man, aka the fourth dimension. Where they'll come back to their senses if they were in ignorance, which those of the world are in ignorance. And Ecclesiastes 12 and verse 7, the dust will return to the earth, and the spirit will return to the one who created it. So even just that precept alone, that defeats whatever hell doctrine that other camps be teaching. Whatever fear of death. There ain't no soul or spirit flipping burning in hell, man. That's the thing. Hell is a metaphor for a state of mind. If a person says they're going through hell, brother. That's a state of mind. That's the thing. It's what they're going through mentally. Like, for example, Esau Edom, he ain't going through hell. The elites specifically. But of course, in Kingdom Come, he's going to be in that state of mind where he is going to feel the suffering. So really, it's how you perceive things is more so mental, isn't it? But the physical, what you feel physically also affects the mental as well. Just hold on, okay. But anyways, man. Let me read it one more time and I'll close it out. But that's the point, really. We don't fear the death because of really what the Christian church leverages on is the fear of hell, man. Imagine. Is that you're in that constant state of being chained because of the fact that it's that, if you then do one sin, you're gonna go to hell and the spirit gonna burn forever, man. Damn. Imagine your whole life. But of course, this is why the scripture set us free, man. It set us free from all that bullshit that was going on. You know? Imagine. That's a fear tactic right there, you know. But when you actually study the scriptures, you realize, no, that's nonsense. That is nonsense. And of course, you know, you're trying to use lake of fire as an excuse. If you don't have to understand, that lake of fire is flipping created by the nuclear missiles. Believe that or not. You know, but you're going to have to do some studying for that. You know, again, Isaiah 28 and verse 10. You can't just read one precept and say, oh, this is what it means. That's why the best way to gain a more, again, the word holistic understanding is by going precept upon precept. Isaiah 28 and verse 10. So anyways, the point is we're not ignorant of him. You know, let me read it again. First Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 13. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, aka dead. Well, dead physically, but the spirits are in the spirit realm anyways. It says that ye sorrow not, even as those which have no hope. So of course we don't mourn as, you know, those of the world, because we actually understand, again, as the title goes, you know, it all makes sense with the truth, man. And again, as the scriptures say, we don't have to know everything. We know in part, we prophesy in part. That's it. You know, we're just playing our role here. You know, we're using what Yahweh Shemashah has given us. And of course, we're not really concerned with unnecessary matters, as the scriptures say in Ecclesiastes 3, I believe verse 21 as well. Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 3, verse 21. But anyways, Akim Yaratazar, you find it edifying and exhorting. I'm going to leave it there. Keep it concise. Shalom, Yabashim Shabrakatha, and Yaratazar. Well, once again, you find it edifying and exhorting. Shalom.